name is Erica, and I am an announcer for Nippon TV. Thank you for joining me on this episode of CBSN Originals. This week, we explore the fascinating future of robots.
The advancement of robotic technology has led many to ask what the robot economy will do to our jobs. In 2014, Pew Research turned to nearly 2,000 experts to get their predictions about an automated economy. 48% said they expected robots would have a significant impact on both blue and white-collar workers by 2025. But Ruchir Sharma, Chief Global Strategist at Morgan Stanley Investment Management and author of The Rise and Fall of Nations, Forces of Change in the Post-Crisis World, says the robots could be coming for your profession, but it may be a good thing. Ruchir, thanks for joining us. Let me start by asking you, you say that robots will not steal your job, but rather save the global economy. What do you mean?
You know, what's happening in Japan is really now gone global, which is the fact that we have this phenomenon where this massive surge in global population that took place from 1950 till 2005, the world's working age population, that has now begun to drop quite sharply in many countries. And I think the robots are coming just in time, which is that how do you sort of supplement now jobs in some countries? So the fear with like robots basically was the fact that they'd come there and they'd take your job. But what I'm trying to say is that the robots are coming just in time to help you deal with this population implosion that's taking place in many countries like Japan.
We need the robots, you're saying. There's no way around it. The population can't sustain a workforce that we need.
Yeah, because the robots are more of a necessity. So for example, if you look at the world today, the countries where the robot density is the highest, Japan, South Korea, even China, Germany, these are all countries where the working age population is declining in all these countries. So the robots are in effect coming here and sort of helping do many tasks that human beings, either you don't have the numbers or there are many tasks that human beings do not want to do.
The Machine Intelligence Research Institute at the University of California at Berkeley found that the average forecast for when artificial intelligence will arrive is about 20 years, but we see it now in our smart homes and in other devices in our daily lives. Isn't it already here, AI?
Yeah, so it's here, but AI here is coming now to augment in terms of what the human capability already is, not to replace it. So it is a very important distinction. Like the fear among the American middle class and in many places is that the robot or automation will take my job away. But look at what's going on in the world today. The unemployment rates across the world today are at multi-decade lows, including in the United States. So if the jobs were truly being lost and robots were really coming up and eating your job, then I think that you would not have such low unemployment rates. When the United States, the unemployment rate today is close to 4%. Practically everyone in this country who wants a job has a job. So the robots are coming, but the robots are coming in only areas where the human beings are naturally vacating.
What do you say to people who are concerned that the robots that are coming might eventually be here to do things better than I can?
These fears have existed for many decades, if not centuries. I can show you enough literature where every few decades this fear comes up that my job's going to go because of increased technology over long periods of time. It is not jobs which are destroyed, but professions which are destroyed. So there will be some professions where the robots and automation and AI will come and basically take over. But new professions will spring up where human beings will come and do more. In the United States, Amazon, we keep hearing about like how they are sort of using robots now much more, drones, etc., for a lot of the delivery services. But Amazon is employing human beings in new jobs at more than twice the pace of the robots that they are employing. So I think that this is the way that we have to reframe this debate. It's not either or. It is the fact that both of them can sort of go together, and robots and AI and automation can help human beings get better.
But the transition sounds like it still will be painful nonetheless. I mean, you acknowledge that it's not necessarily jobs that are going away, but professions that are going away. Well, people are employed in those professions. One example is the trucking industry, for instance. There are truck drivers who are concerned when you see a self-driving truck. They're worried that their livelihood that has provided them with a comfortable middle-class American life is something that is going to go away, and they, because of age or other reasons, will not necessarily be the ones to benefit from whatever new jobs may be out there.
Yeah, so I think that I don't want to minimize the impact on some sectors of this, but that is just how human history is, which is that this thing about professions being destroyed and new professions coming up. Bottom line is that the picture today is much more optimistic than what people acknowledge. And I think that people haven't taken sufficiently into account how much the demographics have shifted. We don't need to create in the United States as many jobs as we once needed to create. So today, for example, every month, I think that if we create even 100,000 jobs, that's more than enough to employ the new people joining the labor force.
What about people who say, I understand what he's pointing at, and it would seem logically if the demographics aren't there to sustain a workforce, we would need to do something, and yet something feels like it's being lost when you have this increased reliance on machines, on these robots. What would you say to someone who is concerned about that, where humans are now becoming, in some people's view, overly dependent on machines?
Yeah, you know, there's a downside to everything. So I think that that is true. I'm sure the same thing could have been said when automobiles replaced horse carriages. The same thing could be said when ATM machines came about, that you're much more reliant now on using the ATM machines rather than the bank teller. Yeah, I mean, I think that these arguments are completely justified. They're coming from the heart. But if you really think from the head, then you really realize the fact that the evolution is such where in the end, technology helps rather than hurts, even in the case of robots and job creation.
Ruchir, thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Coming up, the Cambridge Analytica Facebook data breach led to a national discussion about what info companies are collecting about us. Ahead, we'll talk to a tech expert who says our likes are just the tip of the digital iceberg as artificial intelligence becomes part of our daily lives.